The Ironspire Citadel loomed like a dagger stabbed into the red sky, its jagged towers clawing at the thin atmosphere of Kar's moon. Darius Holt stepped onto the landing platform alone, the whisper of his robes almost inaudible beneath the growl of the Rovaxian wind. No guard. No entourage. Just a diplomat in charcoal silk, eyes sharp behind a calm face. Inside, the Hall of Blades radiated hostility. The architecture had no straight lines, only sharp angles and raw steel, a place built to intimidate. Overhead, suspended weapons of every era turned slowly on magnetic rings. Each was a trophy from a victory. Each was cleaned, polished, honored. And every eye in that chamber, red, gold, slitted, furious, fell on him. Darius walked slowly, deliberately, to the center dais. The echo of his boots was the only sound in the hall. "You stand," boomed a deep voice, "in the place where warriors are forged in fire and crowned in blood. Speak carefully, Terran." High Warlord Threx leaned forward on his obsidian throne, his armor adorned with the teeth of slain beasts. His son, Kael'vor, stood beside him, a younger, sleeker version of the Warlord, but pulsing with arrogance. He wore no helmet, only a coiled braid falling down his armored back and a sword longer than Darius' leg strapped across his chest. "I am Darius Holt, representative of the Terran Alliance," Darius said evenly. "Here to reaffirm the peace of the Ninth Accord and ensure its observance across Rovaxor's border colonies." Kael smirked. "You speak as if we are equals, human. You come alone, wearing silk and silence, to a chamber where only strength speaks." Darius didn't rise to the bait. He kept his posture loose, hands behind his back. "Let the boy throw the first stone." "Your treaties," Kael continued, pacing now, "are ink on paper. Rovaxor writes history with steel. Perhaps you need reminding." The council stirred. Blood was being scented. This was no longer diplomacy, it was a public trial. "I challenge you, Terran," Kael declared. "Trial by resolve. Let the clans see what your species calls strength." There it was. Darius took a slow breath, as if bored. He turned to Threx. "Do your laws not require that any trial of resolve include both trial of strength and trial of wit?" Threx hesitated. Kael's eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected the diplomat to know their customs in such detail. "They do," Threx said finally. "Though few survive both." "Then I accept," Darius said. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Kael laughed. "You can't even lift a blade." "Perhaps," Darius replied softly. "But not all blades are forged of steel." Kael stepped forward, hand on hilt. "Let us begin now. We start with the trial of wit, though I doubt you'll pass it." Darius turned to face the council. "Very well. Riddle me this, Warborn, if strength were measured only by who strikes hardest, then why does your law forbid a warrior from killing an unarmed child?" "Strength," he continued, walking the perimeter of the council, "is not just power, it is control. Restraint. Mercy, applied by choice, not weakness." Kael snarled. "Mercy is cowardice." "Then your father," Darius replied, "was a coward when he spared the Ograthi rebels instead of executing them. Or was that wisdom?" The room went still. Threx's fingers twitched, but he said nothing. Darius knew he was pushing boundaries, but he also knew where the line was. "I will not be spoken to in riddles," Kael snapped. "We fight now." "You haven't passed the trial of wit," Darius reminded. "Or do Rovaxians no longer honor their own rights?" Kael froze. Around the chamber, murmurs began, quiet at first, then bolder. A few of the older warlords nodded. Darius turned back to Threx. "Shall I continue?" The warlord stared long and hard. Then he raised a hand. "Tomorrow. At dusk," he decreed. "Both trials. If either man fails, the other is declared victor. Let the clans witness truth, not theater." Kael stepped close to Darius as the chamber began to empty. "You'll die tomorrow," he hissed. "On your knees. Weak and broken." Darius didn't blink. I've died before, he said. What matters is what rises after. Cale's eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. Darius leaned in just slightly. You think strength is the loudest voice in the room. Tomorrow, I'll teach you that silence can end a war. Cale turned away, snarling. When the room emptied, Darius stood alone for a moment, then tapped a small neural chip under his collar. A quiet chime answered. Status, he asked. A female voice replied through the implant. Recording complete. Cale's verbal threats logged. Confirmation of attempted breach of treaty via trial of resolve. Protocol allows countermeasures. Good, Darius said. Have the Warlord's dossiers ready by morning. I want leverage. Of course. Any orders? Yes, Darius said. Have a vial of the ceremonial armor oil sent to my quarters. Pause. You planning something, sir? I'm preparing. For what? For the moment the wolf realizes the lamb brought a scalpel. The moon never slept, and neither did Darius Holt. Inside his quarters, sparse but secure, he studied the glowing war table before him. Lines of tribal alliances, ancient debts, rivalries hidden beneath handshakes, all mapped out like battlefield topography. Rovaxian society wasn't run by brute force alone. Power here flowed through shame, honor, and obligation, currency Darius understood better than most. He tapped a node. Warlord Garn's file blinked open. 2 sons, both killed in an off-world border raid Cale had secretly sanctioned to provoke the Terran fleet last cycle. Officially blamed on pirates. Unofficially, Garn knew better. Another node. High Matron Veshra. Her niece's execution order signed by Cale's personal tribunal. Disloyal conduct. No hearing. No recourse. Darius leaned back. These weren't just data points. They were fractures. And fractures, under pressure, broke. A soft chime pulsed from the wall, midnight. Enter, he said. A silent servitor drone glided in, carrying a vial, black glass sealed with a bronze ring. Ceremonial armor oil, the drone's voice chimed. Requested quantity. Untampered. Darius accepted the vial with care. Ancient tradition dictated Rovaxian challengers anoint their weapons and armor in sacred oils before combat, part spiritual rite, part neural interface enhancer. The oil bonded with their war suits. What bonded could also be unbonded. He uncorked the vial and extracted a pin drop sample into a nanoscanner. A molecular diagram lit up. Same composition as 10 years ago, he muttered. Still laced with reactive compounds. Good. He set the scanner aside, stood, and walked to the mirror. Tomorrow's confrontation would not be a fight. Not in the way Cale expected. By morning, rumors spread like wildfire through the Citadel. Some said the Terran Diplomat had once killed a warlord barehanded. Others whispered he was a telepath trained by the Obsidian Order. Darius ignored them. He knew what rumors were worth, distractions. But he made sure they continued. Perception was a blade he wielded with care. At noon, he walked the inner spire gardens, an artificial stretch of red moss and razor-leafed vines meant to impress outsiders with the beauty of Rovaxer. A few warlords passed him, nodding with less disdain than yesterday. Some, like Garn, even paused. Strange sight, Garn said. A Terran walking calmly among enemies. Darius smiled faintly. Only enemies if we stop talking. Garn grunted. Cale thinks you'll bend before sunset. I think Cale has too many mirrors and not enough ears. Garn's scarred lips curled. Be careful. This moon drinks blood quickly. Darius bowed. So I've heard. He left Garn standing alone, seeds of doubt already blooming. Dusk approached. The trial of resolve would begin with the trial of wit, a mental challenge, public and ritualistic. Most chose a riddle, a debate, or an invocation of law. Darius chose all three. He entered the Hall of Echoes, where the trial would unfold. This chamber, unlike the Hall of Blades, had no weapons. Only stone benches, lightless torches, and a central ring bathed in cold blue flame. Kale stood waiting, arms crossed. A crimson sash bound his armor, symbols of lineage glowing faintly. The oil had been applied. His suit now fully bonded. The crowd settled. High Warlord Threx raised a clawed hand. Begin. Kale stepped forward, voice loud. You have no blade, no shield. I ask you now, Terran, what does your species know of struggle? Darius answered softly. Everything. He walked slowly into the center of the flame ring. Rovaxians, he said, addressing the crowd. You believe humans are soft because we prefer order to chaos. But every civilization is born from suffering. Ours simply learned to channel it. Kale interrupted. Spoken like a coward who's never tasted blood. I've buried friends in silence and enemies in ash, Darius said. But that's not the trial. This is. He tapped his wristband. A projection flickered to life, an old Rovaxian document. A law, forgotten, but still binding. Clause 44A, if a trial is invoked under false pretext to provoke war, and the accuser is found dishonorable, his claim is void, and his rank revocable. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Darius turned slowly. Kale approved a raid on Terran civilians 2 months ago. You blamed pirates. But one of your command ships left an encrypted trail. Another tap. The display shifted, an intercepted comm log. Kale's voice, unmistakable. Burn the station. Leave no witnesses. Blame the ghosts. Kale's face darkened. You dare spy on me? I listen, Darius said. It's how we avoid wars. Threx stood now. Is this true? Kale opened his mouth, but Darius cut in. Shall we ask the survivors? I have them off-world. Awaiting tribunal. And, he added, turning to Garn and Veshra, your dead children, your exiled kin, Kale's hands are not clean. The silence was thick. Garn rose first. This is not justice. This is shame. Matron Veshra followed. He is unfit. Kale drew his blade. Enough. Darius didn't flinch. Strike me now, and you forfeit the trial of wit. The law is clear. Kale froze. Fury trembled in his jaw. Tomorrow, he growled. We finish this with steel. Agreed, Darius said. But do polish your armor. I'd hate for tradition to be neglected. Kale stormed out. As the council dispersed, Threx lingered, his voice low. You have shattered more than my son's pride. I'm trying to preserve your peace, Darius replied. Then pray your mercy tomorrow is convincing. Darius met his gaze. It won't be mercy. Just education. That night, back in his quarters, Darius opened the vial once more. A drop of refined nanite compound, harmless alone, was added. It would only activate when mixed with heat from Kale's internal armor systems. The result? Neural desync. Weapon loss. Power armor collapse. Not deadly. But very public. He sealed the vial and sent it under Kale's name, as custom dictated. Warriors anointed their armor with oil delivered in ceremonial exchange. Kale wouldn't check it. He was too angry to imagine defeat. Darius sat at the window, watching the dying red sun drop beneath the jagged cliffs. Tomorrow wouldn't be a duel. It would be an autopsy. The arena of the Ironspire was not designed for justice. It was a theater of humiliation and spectacle, a sunken pit surrounded by tiered obsidian benches. The blood-soaked floor bore the marks of 100 duels, some ended in death, others in worse. Darius Holt stepped into the center alone, robes rustling in the wind. No armor. No weapon. Just a datapad in one hand, a ring of ceremonial code ink circling his wrist, proof that he had passed the trial of wit. Across from him, Kalevor emerged to thunderous cheers, every inch a war god in chrome-red armor. His great sword glinted with a fresh coat of sanctified oil, the final ritual complete. His helmet hissed as it sealed. Augmented muscles tensed beneath alloy plating. Diplomat, Kale's voice boomed through the arena's speakers, your tricks are over. This ends in blood. Darius didn't move. Then end it. Warlord Threx raised a clawed fist. By Rovaxian law, the trial of strength begins. Witnesses, bear truth. Combatants, honor code. The gong sounded. Kale charged. The crowd roared. Darius stood still. At 6 meters, Kale activated his momentum boosters. His blade swung in an arc meant to cleave a man in half. Mid-swing, his suit froze. The blade hit the dirt with a useless thud. Kale stumbled forward, confused, his arms twitching against dead servos. A gasp rippled across the benches. What? Kale grunted. No, move. His exosuit spasmed, locking joints in unnatural angles. He fell to one knee, not from injury, but from betrayal, his own armor rejecting him. Darius walked forward slowly. You're feeling the oil, he said calmly. More accurately, the nanite patch embedded in it. Bonded to your armor's neural ports. It's scrambling your interface. Kale growled. You poisoned. No, Darius interrupted. I obeyed custom. You anointed your armor. I merely enhanced it. He crouched just out of reach. You challenged me. You mocked me. You threatened war in front of the council. But you forgot one thing. Kale glared up at him, helpless, humiliated. You thought diplomacy meant I couldn't fight. It doesn't. It means I choose not to, until I must. Above them, the crowd was silent now. Darius stood and addressed them. Rovaxians value strength. But what is strength if it cannot see beyond its own reflection? Kale believes power is dominance. I believe it is consequence. This is the difference between us. He turned to the warlords, Garn, Veshra, even Threx. Kale violated the treaty. He used this trial not to seek justice, but to provoke war. The trial of wit exposed that. The trial of strength confirms it. Darius pointed at Kale, still struggling, armor locked in a silent scream. Had I chosen to end him, I could have. But I won't. Threx rose slowly. You offer mercy? No, Darius said. I offer instruction. He stepped back. Let this trial show what happens when arrogance faces preparation. When impulse meets discipline. The council began to murmur. A few stood. Applause did not erupt, but approval was felt in silence. Kale slumped, defeated. Darius leaned in once more. You mistook my calm for weakness. But a man who has seen war no longer needs to shout. Kale hissed, you tricked me. I studied you, Darius replied. That's not trickery. That's survival. He turned to Threx. The Terran Alliance considers the treaty reaffirmed. We expect future negotiations to be conducted with less dramatics. Threx said nothing for a long moment. Then he bowed his head slightly. It will be so. Darius gave a single nod. As he turned to leave, Kale shouted after him, voice cracking through failing speakers. This isn't over. Darius didn't stop. For your sake, it should be. Outside the arena, the air was crisp. Darius exhaled slowly, the weight of the last 48 hours catching up to him. His aide's voice came through the implant. All secure. Treaty reaffirmed across Rovaxian systems. Your shuttle is fueled. Good, Darius said. Any word from the ambassador board? Only this, remind Mr. Holt that humans don't negotiate from weakness. Darius smiled faintly. Noted. As he walked to the shuttle, a young Rovaxian child peered at him from behind a pillar. Not frightened. Just curious. Darius paused. The boy stepped forward. Are you really a diplomat? I am. But you didn't fight with a sword. Darius crouched to his level. Sometimes, the sharpest sword is knowing when not to swing one. The boy nodded, slowly understanding. Darius rose. The Warlord's son had been silenced not by death, but by exposure. That, in the end, was more permanent. As the shuttle lifted off, red dust rising beneath its thrusters, Darius looked once more at the Ironspire fading behind him. Mercy had not been weakness. It had been the final blow.